offer specialized courses and curricula for their students, and these courses begin at elementary school, follow the kids through middle school and all the way to high school, preparing them for what they're going to do in the future. And I'm not saying once they get out of high school that they have continuing education to prepare them for their life other than a college degree. Our district could draw students from across the boundaries. I look forward to the day when D9 are innovators in education. I look forward to the day when our school board can work together to think outside the box, and I look forward to the day when parents from Medford and Central Point are asking for boundary exceptions for their kids to come here to school rather than our parents asking for boundary exceptions to send our kids over there. It hurts me to hear people say, I wouldn't send my kids to school in Eagle Point. And so I would like to see, that's a long-range goal for me, is to see that not happen.
Thank you very much. Also, I'd like to thank you guys for putting this on. The thing that I see is probably one of the most glaring things in our district is the lack of preparedness of our kindergartners when we get there. And I kind of foresee that it's an opportunity to use Little Butte and Elk Trail as a possible way to attract either a pre-K program, a Head Start type program, and I think we really need to start looking at options like that so that when kindergartners get to school, they're prepared. As many of you know, I have spouses in the district, and I have a lot of friends who are teachers. The kindergarten teachers that I've been talking with, they have a third of their students are coming in and not knowing how to hold a pencil. I mean, these are things nowadays. Kids get out of kindergarten, they're expected to read. I don't know about you guys, but when I was a kid, they just wanted me to stop picking my nose. That was the game. So I think that's a huge thing that we really need to start looking at, because we have to have these kids ready to go sooner, and they're just not there. So that's one of the things I think we really should be looking at. The idea of parental curricular involvement, I think, is important, but we do have to remember that we have educators that we pay a lot of money to help us develop curriculum. And I think what we need to do is get the parent input and then trust those educators to do the job that we hire them to do. We need to remember as a board, we have one employee, we don't have the district as an employee, and we need to trust that one employee to do the job. And if that one employee is failing to meet some of our goals, we need to address that with that one employee. Personally, I think we're doing a pretty good job there. I just think we need to unify this board so that this board gets better direction to that one employee. Because right now, that one employee gets mixed messages, and I don't think that's appropriate. So I think that's really sort of a long-range plan for me, is to try to solidify that and look at those schools that we have to bring in some kind of pre-K type program.
Thank you. And
didn't get was an option of what that would cost to do that to the budget. So, you know, yes, you can have the counselors, but if you have the counselors, we're going to have to reduce this program, this program, and this program, or whatever the case may be. So I think the diminished time to handle the budget doesn't allow for that kind of process to occur. And I really think that that is an important process, because then the budget committee can be effective. Basically what the budget committee does right now is they hear the budget and they talk about the budget and then they pass the budget. And the budget is unchanged. And it might be unchanged. Maybe the budget was perfect, but there's no way to know if the budget is perfect if that's the way we're handling it. So that would be my short-term goal.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Mahako?
Well, the short-term goal to me is pretty obvious. The short-term goal is that we need to have, in order for our school board to function properly and to, you know, handle things like the budget, they need to have really good communication. And one of the things that I've seen as I've gone to the board meetings is that communication isn't always that great. You know, I'm not exactly sure how the school board meetings are run, and I probably should have checked this out, but I know in the planning commission, we get the agenda and we get all of the materials ahead of time. The last planning committee meeting that I went to, I got a big packet of materials to go over before the meeting. So when I got to the meeting, I knew what was going to happen. If I had a question, I also had a chairman of the planning committee that said, call me, no matter what, we'll talk about it. And what I would like to see is that members of the school board not wait until they get to the board meeting to ask a question or to say they disagree with something. And I think that the school board would have a better, they would have a better impact on the community if they didn't look like they weren't on the same page. And I don't say everybody has to be on the same page. Obviously, sometimes people are going to have differing opinions, but we need to talk about them ahead of time. We don't need to air your dirty linens in front of the whole world. Disagreements are